So for those in our audience who may still have doubts about the quality of off-site construction, you won't want to miss our next speaker. Since 1973, author and Bensonwood founder Ted Benson has championed high-performance, sustainable homes and public buildings with an emphasis on innovation and craftsmanship. And when I say craftsmanship, I mean millimeter-perfect craftsmanship, as you will see. Using the latest high technology to build beautiful, traditional, high-quality, sustainable homes, and it's all being done off-site. So please, let's give Ted a warm welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. And take a minute to lower your expectations. And with that in mind, I actually changed the title of the presentation because when I looked at the lineup, we were all talking about reinventing, revolution, disruption, and I really think we have to get a little bit more humble. This industry is, like the mighty Mississippi flowing toward the Gulf, and it's headed in a direction that it's been headed in for the last 100 years. And we're trying to change the course, and it's hard. It's not going to happen overnight. There actually won't be a revolution. We will probably not disrupt. If we can improve it, that would be huge, and it's really quite enough. So let's try to build a bridge to the 21st century way to build, and this is a story about our search. I've been asked if I've ever given a TED Talk, and I said, every time. So this is a TED Talk, and the other point about the TED Talk is I'm going to be showing you some images about the work that our company does, and it's work that I'm really proud of. And as time goes on, I have less and less to do with the quality of that work. So it really represents the skills, the passion, the intelligence, the creativity, the innovation of all the people that I work with. And so I need to give them credit, our team credit, as we're looking at the images. But I'm going to say some things that are really only me and have no reflection on anybody else in our company. So this is a TED Talk. So there's two parts to this. The context of what I want to say is broken up into three parts: who, why, what. I'll go a little faster during that part, just to give you an impression of where we're coming from, why we're doing it, what we're trying to achieve. And then the how, I really want to slow down. It's a proposition about what I think this industry could do to improve dramatically. Not disrupting, we could improve dramatically. So the who, we've been doing this for a long time. We started out with this, the mission from the very beginning was there's got to be a better way to build. As a young carpenter, I'd worked on traditional building sites, building tract homes, and it was awful. It was just awful. I also had the opportunity later to work with some very, very skilled third and fourth generation craftsmen. So I saw what it could be, and I said, let's make this industry improve. So let's find a better product, and let's find a better process. So that's what we've been doing. We're a small band of passionate people trying to be the change we want in the world. So the legacy company has been called Bensonwood. We focused in the early years on timber framing and bringing timber framing into the 21st century. 6 years ago, we founded Unity. The idea of Unity is to take all that stuff, technology, systems, craft skills and bring it down into the marketplace and to make really high quality fossil fuel-free buildings affordable and normal. And just this year, we founded Tectonics because, as you'll see, we've got this brand new, unbelievable factory, state-of-the-art, world-class. It has a whole lot of capacity beyond what we can deploy through Bensonwood and Unity. So Tectonics is about us providing building elements and building components to the rest of the industry. Our stuff, your design. So under Bensonwood, over the years, we've developed tremendous skills in engineering and architecture and craft. As I said, we started out in reviving timber framing in North America. Had some great success with that. We're really proud of all the work that we've done in that sector, and that's taken us all over the country. We've been in every state in the Union, and also Japan, and we even built in England. But over the years, as we pushed and pulled on our offsite methods, you know, we discovered that we could build any kind of building and raise the quality of other methods of construction as well. So the building on the left is a more modernist building with no timbers, but the quality in both of them is the same. We also work with outside architects a lot. The building on the upper left is Bill McClay, architect from Vermont. It's a Beaux-Arts botanical center. We did the timber structure and the enclosure. It's a net zero LEED platinum building, one that we're very proud of. In the middle on the left is a collaboration with Gray Urganski. Our lead engineer, Chris Carbone, who's here, led that project. It's a really innovative CLT project that involved our people, Nordique, some really clever methodologies to take CLT to another level. The one on the lower left was led by our senior architect, Randall Walter. It's a mountain campus for Burton Academy. And on the right is Brunner Cott, the Kern Center at Hampshire College. And that's a Living Building Challenge building. We did the mass timber. This is Unity. We're now building Unity homes. I'll tell you a little bit more about that later. All over the Northeast, we've also gone to North Carolina, Ohio, Virginia. This is really taking off. We've standardized everything in the components, but we can meet our clients' budgets, programs, needs, because it's a system, not a standard building. And I'll tell you more about that. The Unity homes come in 4 flavors with a nearly infinite number of options. So these are more Unity homes. So this is an image of our brand new 100,000 square foot factory in Keene, New Hampshire. It really is unbelievable. In North America, it's fairly normal. In many parts of Europe, the equipment comes from Germany, Austria, France, automated, robotic, state-of-the-art. We call it a high-performance home building factory because we've oriented everything we do to lift the industry and our products up, not just to make things faster and cheaper. We also have a 6-axis timber fabrication machine. It is incredibly accurate and incredibly efficient. We can fabricate timber products from about 4 feet wide to a little over 12 inches deep. And I think we've done 56 feet long. So this is 21st century fabrication equipment for sure. We also have a Italian Rautech machine, 5-axis machine center, that we primarily use for millwork. The capacity and capability of this machine is really, just unbelievable. Making many things that were difficult to achieve and therefore expensive, we can now, lower the cost and make complex shapes normal and affordable. So that's why we're launching Tectonics, because we can now provide all of these kinds of products, the panels, the timbers, and the millwork, to the rest of the industry. We're very, very excited about this. It's bringing us into new sectors that we haven't been involved in quite so much in the past, including many multifamily projects, some of which are happening here in Boston. We have a project up in Medford that'll get started in the next few weeks under Bensonwood Tectonics. So here's timber fabrication, millwork. It's exciting times for us, as you can imagine. So why? Why are we doing all of this? Several big reasons. Homes matter deeply in people's lives and to our society. They also matter in their impact on our planet. And on both fronts, our industry is under-delivering, and it's time for us to pick that up. I think of this as a critical time for our industry and for all of us on this planet. And I see two parts to what I think of personally as an existential crisis. The narrative in our industry and in the rest of our economy is that free market wealth accumulation outweighs social and environmental responsibility. Profits first. I don't believe that. I think social equity is the basis of our humanity. And as an industry, if we don't focus on that, and that is doing the very best we can to provide everybody in our society with better housing, then we have shirked our responsibility. And, thank you. If we don't step up and accept our responsibility to make our buildings carbon neutral and to leave fossil fuels in the ground, then what industry will? My dad, I'm the 6th of 11 children, and I lived in Colorado at the time, and for a while we lived in a wooden tent, that building on the upper left. And we were poor, and we felt poor, and we were insecure because we were insecure. And my dad found a building that was scheduled for demolition, made a deal with the contractor, had it moved a mile up the street and backed onto a foundation. And our family moved into that pretty worn but incredible building, and it changed our lives. It changed everything about our lives. Our hope, our sense of security, our ability to dream, and to know that we matter. My parents told us that. But then, you know, the context of where we live also told us that. Sambo MacBee, who I've always admired, had that wonderful quote, "Everyone, rich or poor, deserves a shelter for the soul." That home was a shelter for my soul. And it's the reason I'm building today. We can talk about all kinds of things relative to climate change and why it matters. Those are my grandchildren. That's why it matters. That's my son-in-law. You can substitute your grandchildren, your children, your nephews and nieces. What is going to happen with the next generations? What are we going to do about it? And what are you going to tell them that we did about it? This is what has to happen, and it's really incredible, and it's kind of frightening. On the upper image, that's how much CO2 emissions have to be pushed down. That's the change we have to make in the next 20 years. And on the lower slide, that's how much we need to increase the use of renewable energy. If we put those two together, there is a solution somewhere in there. We're late getting started. Buildings are, of course, you've seen this before, they're the number one problem, the biggest part of that sector. And it's crazy. You know, the buildings don't go anywhere. They just sit in one place on the earth. And, you know, all we have to do to fix buildings and make them green and not consuming, you know, so much energy and belching out the CO2. All we have to do is reduce the energy that they consume by insulating them and making them more airtight. It's really just about that simple. It's crazy. If we can't do it in this sector, who is going to do it? Where is that change going to come from? They're not flying across the country. They're not traveling down the road. They stick in one place, and all we have to do is build them in the right way. But look at these codes. I got this from the Rocky Mountain Institute. This is the free market speaking, I guess. And so, you know, at the top of that is, you know, where the building codes in this country have been. And, you know, the members of the NAHB, who, you know, many of you might be members, I quit. They complain. They complain about those codes. The 2015 code is kind of stiff. Ooh. But look at where it is. It doesn't move the needle. And so, if you want your home to be affordable, you're going to be, you know, at the top there, belching energy. And you can be at the bottom and really do the right thing if you're wealthy and care. That's not right. That's not a country and an industry that's going to change things. You can't allow that chaos of, you know, which code and standard are you going to adhere to? Just whatever you want? What your local building official requires? It's not good enough. You know that, and I know that. And, you know, if we want to change it, and this is the reason why, you know, builders across the country complain, it's because the industry is so challenged. It's, you know, we're repeating each other here, but we've got built-in inefficiency, skill degradation that's just getting worse. You know what skills you need to have to be a carpenter in this country? None. Nothing. No schooling, no nothing, nothing. I got a haircut the other day. Preparation for this, I wanted to look decent. And the lady who was cutting my hair told me about her training and the education, what she had to do to get her certification to be able to cut my hair. Unbelievable. Ongoing education too. Where she's employed, they require her to get updated every year. In our industry, it is nothing, nothing, nothing. That's the challenge of an industry. Why do we have poor quality? Well, it's embedded in the methods and the skills. This is redundant too. Andrew showed a similar slide. And we both are quoting from McKinsey. Andrew likes the graphs, I like the words. So in the United States, since 1945, productivity in manufacturing has gone way up. I think we're all three repeated this, 1,500%. And in construction industry has barely moved. Here's part of the reason why. I've shown this slide for a lot of years, 25 years, I think. I've had a version of this. And basically, it's just to say, this is what's wrong with this industry. But it really isn't a people problem. It's a system problem. Here's two quotes from Edward Deming. A bad system will beat a good person every time. And your system is perfectly designed to give you the results you're getting. So if we're going to address the problems that this industry has, we got to fix the system. So what? We've got to find a better way. Our company mission statement is through process and product to improve people's lives. It's a simple statement. It's actually pretty profound because the lives we're talking about are our own first. We have to have a great place to work, an inspiring place to work, a challenging place to work, and then we can, if we do all of that right, improve lives out there. The founding goals of the company are that homes should be much, much better. Everyone, just like that home I grew up in, should be beautiful, durable, functional, and energy efficient. And the method should be future-oriented, but past-inspired. We need to revive the craft ethos, create better working environments, utilize the very best technology, and do it off-site. Why off-site? Because you can have the best technology. You can deploy it when you're off-site. But even more importantly, when we're off-site and we come to work at the same place every day, we can learn from each other. We can have a seminar this morning. We can have a short seminar at noon. We can meet each other. We can talk. We can get on the same page. We can learn. How does building science get learned throughout the company? Well, we have classes and we can have seminars about it, but it's because we're all there together. So when I'm giving tours around the company, I am always asking, that person doing the work to talk to whoever I'm touring because they know more about that, whatever it is, than I do. That's off-site. We've been deliberate. We had a mission starting in the 70s. We've been on a path to develop methods and systems and thinking and training. And so this is our family tree, better way to build family tree. I won't get into it, but you can see it's been a thing that we've been doing and doing it very deliberately. We've also been learning from everywhere. We've had the good fortune of bringing in interns and tradespeople from Japan, France, Germany, and other parts of Europe. We've also traveled the world to where the very best building is taking place. So that's, Scandinavia and Germany and Austria and Switzerland, Holland. There's some amazing stuff going on in thinking about new methods of building. And our French compagnons have taught us an immense amount. A Japanese temple builder joined us for a year, changed us radically in that year. Because he learned from the person who learned from the person who learned from the person going back 2,000 years. And we were relearning. So how? Aim higher, engender a proud culture, use advanced technology, lean the process, apply rational building principles, and develop a new industry-wide operating system. So that's the bridge. I think a bridge is a good metaphor because there are many parts to a bridge. The technology is just the deck, but we have abutments, we have arches, we have struts, we have a whole structure that is needed to create that bridge. It's not one thing. You can't just bring in technology and use that to replace your labor problem. As a matter of fact, the way you should do that is to use it to lift the labor and then just call them skilled, valuable, wonderful people that you're lucky to work with. So I had the slide about dissing the industry. If we're going to undis it, we need to integrate, organize, align, enfranchise, inspire, and then we may be able to change this industry and build to the very highest levels. So aim higher. This is a Maslow's hierarchy. I think we could substitute different words, and we have the same thing. You have basic needs, psychological needs, and self-fulfillment needs. Home building tends to aim at the bottom. We're there and there. That's the commodity of home building. But anything will do. You could use a shipping container. It'll do that. And, much of what's built around the country, that's all it's going to do. Good enough. Drywall boxes that'll solve this problem. But what about that? What about what I got when I was growing up in that wonderful building that was, a bit of a mess, but it was well built, had good bones, had good craftsmanship. And I could stare at the ceiling as an 11-year-old and know that I mattered. What about that? What about that? Why can't we aim for the top of the pyramid? Homes are sacred places, and we should treat them that way. And here's my rant about the code again. Come on. The code should not be all over the place. It shouldn't be whatever you want to do and whatever the local jurisdiction decides is good enough for them. We're one country, and everybody deserves a decent place to live. I think it's criminal. It's criminal that the code that was off the chart in that earlier slide was a HUD code. The HUD code is what you can do, what you can get away with when you're providing housing to the lowest sector of our society. You can get away with that, the HUD code. And it's criminal. They're toxic places that are energy gobblers, for as small and inefficient as they are, they're also just a terrible place to live. And we allow it in this country. They don't even appreciate those homes. So it's a bad investment for their life, and it's a bad investment for their economy. There should be one code. This is a code that Unity adopted. That's our standard. We call it the good code. And, I'm not sure it's exactly right, but it's a little higher than Passive House, and it's a lot lower than some of the other standards. And I think the good code should look like that. And if we don't have the right one, let's get some smart people together and establish a good code. Maybe it's a 2030 code if the ICC keeps going. The good code for everyone. Not the rich or the poor, for everyone. Then we could change things. Create a proud culture, the proud work culture, and rediscover the noble profession of building. Aristotle had this idea about theology. He said, if you find the telos of the thing, the telos of what you're doing, then it changes you. You're not just working at it, it changes you. There's a right way to think about it, a right way to do it, a right way to constantly improve it. So what is the telos of home building? We've been searching for that, trying to develop, that idea as a community of builders. It is a noble profession. We have such a profound effect on lives across the country. Why don't we treat it that way? And create, a culture where high skills and craft pride and discipline and lifelong learning and services to society is your reason for getting up in the morning. We're not going to make anybody rich in money, but we can make people pretty rich in the passion that they can have every day when they come to work. Use advanced technology, of course. That means building things twice, using software. We believe deeply in this. We call it virtual before actual. And it's not just a BIM that we're after, it's a building production model. It's a building model that is already oriented for CNC fabrication and automation. It's built into the software. That's what we believed in. One software for designing, developing, and manufacturing. And that allows us to point it directly to CNC automation, where we get incredible efficiency and incredible accuracy. We got our first machine in 1997, another one in 2006, I think, and the new ones that we have today. But the big thing about that is the connection to the software. That's the big thing. The software is it. The machines you can buy, the software takes a lot of time to develop. Lean the process. Lean is the most dramatic change in manufacturing in the last 50 years. And all industries do it. And it is so powerful, it is so useful, it is so incredible for all of us as we think about how we gain efficiency. It's also empowering, it's a bottom-up idea. Unfortunately, if you're going to learn about Lean, you've got to learn a little Japanese, because Deming, who started to develop the Lean concept back in the 50s and 60s, was ignored in this country and revered in Japan. So Lean became the Toyota way. And so we have Kaizens and Kanbans, and we've learned about all the different kinds of waste, and it's made us better and better and better. The slide or the photo on the right is our previous production facilities that we had established in the early 2000s. And so lean manufacturing is how we get to constant improvement and how we empower everyone. Apply rational building principles. Here's a big one. Disentangle. The structure and the infill are two different things. It's really important. They're two different things. One has a long, long life, or should, and the other is personal and will be mutable in time by generations of people, of inhabitants. So the structure should be designed and developed for its long life. And the infill should be structured and developed for personalization, for change, for adaptation, because that's what needs to happen. So the structure is a little bit like that chassis. Should not be compromised in its structural integrity or its thermal integrity. Where the infill could be and can constantly change. After you've disentangled that concept, you can disentangle all the systems underneath it. So on the shell side, there's site, forever, structure, should be 200, 300, 400, 500 years. Why not? Anybody here from Europe will know that's pretty normal. Skin, 50 to 100 years. Infill, space plan is generational. Services are even shorter with new technologies. And stuff, that's the stuff you move around. So why entangle services in structure? You're going to limit the life of the structure. So disentangling is a really powerful and important concept as we think about offsite fabrication and modularization and making buildings more efficient. Modularity. Modularity is how every other industry achieves its innovation, its production efficiency, its constant improvement, because given the computer on the right or the appliance on the left, because the components and the whole entity can iterate at different levels. And you can have different suppliers for different components. That's how the computer industry changed radically from the 1960s till today. Just in the 1980s, I bought a computer for $6,000 to do some programming we wanted to do. Today, you could get that same computer for $100. That's an industry democratizing their product by using the power of modularity. The same thing with the appliance. One of the most advanced things in your home are your appliances. They don't break. Dryer, dishwasher, and they're running all the time. The home underneath it, there's a problem. So this is a really interesting book called Design Rules and the Power of Modularity, and how that has infected and affected every other industry. Standardized components, variable products. So here's my other quote from McKinsey, since they're not here. Too bad. To improve the situation and discuss the beginnings of a shift of parts of the sector toward a system of mass production, standardization, prefabrication, yes, prefabrication, and modularization, a production system that has the potential to boost productivity by 5 to 10 times. We need to do that. The industry needs to do that. We need to change everything. We need to do that. Not us do that, which we have. We, the industry, need to take that on. This industry is totally organized that way. It's a component-based industry. You can get a standard frame or a custom frame. From there, everything is variable. Or you can buy a pre-configured version of that vehicle. So you can get one for $100 or $5,000. Same kind of components. You can get a component, like the chain ring. It can be $20 or $1,000 because it's modularized, it's componentized. It's intelligent. And what about clothes? We accept that as standard. It's standard sizes. Before there were standard sizes, you had to go to a tailor. Now, it's produced all over the world at very, very cheap prices. Why? Because they accepted dimensional standards. Little short personal note, I wear size 34 waist. And I won't buy myself a 36. That's my dieting method. And today, I could only find one pair of pants, so you're lucky these are not sweats. Another industry, the kitchen industry, has standardized everything. And it's changed the industry. You can go to a lumber yard, open up a drawer, and it's likely it's hardwood and dovetailed. Why? Because they did that. And the automobile industry, which we keep talking about, has modularized everything. Every part and piece, every component, it's a modular system. Whether it's the upholstery or the heating unit, the mechanical system, the sound system, it's all componentized and modularized. And so, for $18,000, you can get that. In our industry, you can't get that. You can't. This one has a heating and cooling system, an engine, goes down the road at 70 miles an hour, has upholstery that's better than the upholstery in your living room. This one doesn't have any of that. It just sits there. And that doesn't include the heating system or the electrical system. If you could build that for $18,000, God bless you. So we need to change it. And so we're proposing a modular coordination operating system. We've been using it for a lot of years. It's changed everything about what we do. It's the basis of Unity. A three-dimensional and positional grid that's the basis for what we call a montage design and building system. Leads to libraries of components and systems and assemblies. So you can compose the designs and they go automatically to the BIM. They are a BIM. The word montage, which we're adopting as the new part of our lexicon, means a combination of disparate elements that form a unified whole. Montage was actually used for dimensional coordination in Europe, the montage word, and a Danish architect has written about it, about bringing it back, and Charlotte Bungard. And she calls it a way of thinking about architecture as an instrument rather than a monument. So this is what it looks like for us, where we're designing assemblies and we compose designs. And that leads to integrated building elements, stairways, mechanical systems, bathrooms, panels, kitchens, floor panels, roof panels, structures, everything in the building can be modularized and standardized. And so the design strategy, the composing part, is paralleled with the construction part. You design it with the same components that you construct with. They're the same. That's why it's a montage. And it leaves a site for assembly only, where defects are unacceptable, and we can get to net zero ready automatically. By producing offsite in the way that we do and standardizing the components, nearly every building that we put up achieves passive house air tightness standards. We've lowered the insulation standard beneath passive house, but the air tightness is free. So under Unity, we have variable platforms and standardized components. It's the VARM platform, with the library is actually about 150 to 200 components, and therefore huge variety out of that. Trad platform, same thing. Library of components and elements and options. So that leads to this new operating system. We actually have an investment partner with Certainty to develop this, which is going to be an app for that. And so it's going to be a 3D open source software with what we're calling OB grid modularity, leading to integrated building elements, systems, and components that can align the industry. All of the industry, using a configurator as a basis. So you can configure buildings efficiently and effectively as an architect or as a builder or developer, professional designer. And then all of that data and all that information can connect the industry in a powerful way. I got the idea from this previous presentation that I think the configurator ought to be a game. Then we can get the next generation to be involved. So this is how this app is going to work, connecting across the industry, enabling on-demand design systems and products, leading to innovation and supplier involvement. A platform for everything from parts and pieces to components to compositions of buildings. This is how the hierarchy works, elements and subsystems. We do this now, by the way, are created from options and attributes, and those create components, kind of the 3D version or larger systems, and they also have options and attributes in the same data hierarchy. So the design features of this operating system will be parts and pieces are aggregated into systems and elements, compositions by architects and professional designers, interior packages from interior design professionals, automated site-specific building science, engineering code compliance will also be automated, systems and components from suppliers, manufacturers, cost, of course, are going to be automated, and a virtual walkthrough as a result of the personal configuration. We're on it. It's happening. So the bridge to the 21st century with the many parts. Lean, 21st century manufacturing. Raise the bar on energy efficiency and durability. Disentangle the systems. Use design rules and deploy the power of modularity. We're overdue for that. And utilize an industry connecting platform as soon as we develop it. And maybe most importantly, get flimsy, ugly defects and fossil fuels out of our buildings. And let's put a culture of excellence, service, and pride back in. Thank you.
That was terrific.